Hey, what's going on out there, everybody? We are back for another episode of The Man Who Fell to Earth. This is episode 8. I think we've got 2 more episodes to go, and this is getting interesting because the very opening of this left off from what the last one did, where Faraday presumably is getting up close to her. Seems like he's going to kiss her on the cheek, but really he's like, they know everything, and Thomas Newman lied to me. And I don't know what to do. And so I have here my co-host, Lucas. What's going on, Lucas?
You thought you were going to get the moment that you've been waiting for.
Hey, it's going to happen. Look, you know at this point, it's going to happen, Lucas. It's going to happen.
It is not going to happen. He has showed no interest.
Look, I'm going to keep shipping them. Justin and Faraday, I don't know a good acronym for them, but it's going to happen. She might be dying in his arm, but it's gonna happen. But
Mama, I just want you to hold out hope that he's gonna cheat on his wife.
I'm shipping him. I don't care what you say. I'm shipping him. Because only reason why I say that, and you do make a good point, because Thomas, he got succumbed to the situation, and that's why he ended up with Mary Sue. That's very clear. But this situation is very different too. So I don't know. I'm still shipping them.
It's different, but there's nothing to pinpoint that Faraday will ever do anything to complicate his situation.
I mean, but we don't know on their planet that they got he's never mind. I'm gonna shut up.
They don't. It's not a multiple wives situation. While justice may be falling for him, I don't know if it's a fall for him because I'm in love with you or I have love for you. Those are 2 completely different things.
It's weird because there's a lot for her to appreciate from him, but then there's also equally a lot for her to be like, man, if I had never been in this man's life, some of these circumstances wouldn't happen. I think it's 2 different folds, and I guess we'll get to that because Mary Sue had a really interesting conversation with her later on, based on the circumstance that they're in. But yeah, from that point, he's kind of like, look, we need to get back to the lab. We need to destroy everything. And she's like, wait, so if that's the case, then how do we protect ourselves? What are we going to do here? So they get back to the lab. They start smashing all the different things. He goes and puts the whatchamacall on so the surveillance isn't there. But he tells her to take the core with the dad and to dip. And she was like, what am I going to do? She was like, look, I found you from across a whole universe. I'm probably sure I can find you again. But I felt like he said that not knowing whether or not he was going to live or die. But that scene, though, the way they set that scene up and the shot was actually pretty freaking dope. Because they kept on transitioning back and forth between Spencer and his team thinking they got it. They're excited and they're about to take everything, to all of it blowing up in their face, literally. What did you think about that scene? Or I guess the sequence of events, how they did it?
It was just a setup of it all. From Spencer losing it, because he's at this point, he's clearly losing it.
Yeah.
And he's attempting to hold it together. And when that machine goes missing, and then he sees Faraday in there. I mean, my favorite part of the scene was when he said, I want him alive. And Faraday, right before he knocks off things, says, I can't make that promise. Like he understood where this could go to. Right. And because he understood where it could go to, I think it left a situation where I'm not 100% sure he didn't think I'm not 100% sure he thought he would survive.
So and I think that's more
why
so
he sent them away.
Sacrificing himself so that at least they could get the core and finish it if they needed to.
Remember, he said, I think it was before that scene, when he said, I'm going to keep my promise for this to be for Earth, and I'm going to get this device somehow. That's him, like, basically saying, I have no plan here. Yeah. How I'm going to do it, I don't know, but I'm going to find a way to do it.
Yeah. And he did. You're right. He did promise her that Earth would be preserved. Yep. It's just more of a situation. And she asked this question too, like, if the plan is to get your people here, what does that mean? And what does that mean for your family? And he didn't answer the question, Am I wrong about that? Like, I feel like he kind of like diverted the question because it leads you to believe, well, they may already have not survived or won't survive. But I'm kind of like, was he being misleading or was he being honest that he just doesn't know? Do you think that he's okay?
I think he's being misleading.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's the key part here. Again, go back to the learn how to tell little lies. Like the best way to do it. Sometimes I need to tell you something that you need to hear, even if I know it's not truthful.
Right. So with this as well, that whole interaction, the situation, he gets shot, and Justin, for some reason, she just couldn't shake it. She felt like she needed to go back, and I thought it was a stupid idea at first, but then if she hadn't came back, then it would have been done anyway. She goes back, picks his body up, thanks to the dad, but Spencer saw the dad, and later on, of course, he puts two and two together. But there's something that's going on with Spencer's assistant that I wanted to bring up to your attention, and I'm curious your take on it because I have a theory about it. So she catches him like, look, you've blown this whole thing out of proportions to the point that I could really just sell you out and be completely fine. Or you can let me run point and cover this up, and you can blame your old boss for getting back at you. And he was like, well, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And to me, my theory is this, because we've been trying to figure out who she's talking to on the other line. At this point, we could kind of hear that it was a man's voice. We just couldn't tell who. I think that's Thomas. For whatever reason, my head goes, I don't know how or why or how she was implanted there, but I feel like Thomas is having her embedded into that situation. I don't know if it's about Spencer or if it's about Faraday or if it's about both of them, but I feel like Thomas is coordinating with that girl because that's the only thing that makes any sense to me. But I was curious who you think it could be.
If it's Thomas, why would she need to cover for Spencer?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know, because to me, it felt like the moment that she later on called the person back, he's found them. I was kind of like, she didn't want to break cover. She still needed Spencer to believe that she was on his side, or she could use him in some way. And at the point that she already knew, I felt like it was buying time. She knew that he would have to go through the different loose ends to get there. But again, I don't know. But the only thing that makes any sense to me is that Thomas would be the person that she's going. I just don't know the end game. I don't know the end game. But she's always known too much to me.
It would just be weird if it would be Thomas.
Because
then you just have to explain the relationship with Spencer. And I think it would have been a possibility of it possibly being Thomas up until she kind of saved Spencer's job. Because I'm like, what? You can get rid of him at this point. You actually don't need him anymore.
Right. So that's why I said, is it about both of them? Because you theorized, I can't remember if you said it. What if that's Thomas's child? Like his actual child. Because in this episode, Mary Sue brought up, and this was weird because I hadn't seen the movie. She was talking to Justin about her dad, and she was like, wait, what's wrong with him? She's like, oh, like he saved him and now he's this.
He's
called it right. And I was like, when has she come across another person like that? Is because I hadn't seen the movie, so I'm asking you. I don't know. Is there been another situation?
No, that's not in the movie. So that would have had to been
in between the time.
Because remember, Spencer's adopted.
Really?
Well, Spencer had, remember he said his mother was Russian and he didn't know who his dad was and that Finch raised him.
Right. And it is really weird. Like his I don't know. There's something always been weird about Mary Sue and Spencer's communication.
And pay attention to her saying at the end of the episode when she said, thank you. This whole time I thought I was Judas, but it's you.
And that didn't make any
Judas
sense.
Judas is someone who would be close
to.
Think about it then. If Judas is someone who would be close, and she still perceives both of them two as being angels, godlike figures, and Spencer would be close. She would have to assume Spencer has some form of closeness to Thomas.
And it still
How
doesn't
else
add
would he?
up.
How else would he have closeness to Thomas unless Spencer knows that him and Thomas are related, or something of that nature?
And again, it goes back to what we talked about 2 episodes ago. Why is he so obsessed with Thomas?
Mm-hmm.
Like we still hadn't put those pieces together. And you're right. There is something off about Spencer's social cues in
Yeah,
general. I think we saw it in like episode 1 when he was going to
alien
try
a
to
little
find the
bit,
old
right?
man. Right. Because
Mm-hmm.
there was a butterfly just randomly on the tree. He destroys the butterfly. And I still, it's a small thing, but who goes out of their way
Mm-hmm.
to just destroy a butterfly? It doesn't add up. It's almost as though somebody that doesn't like the environment they're in. Um,
Exactly.
that's what it kind of gave me an impression of. So I guess if that is the case, that would make more sense with her. That's not just about Faraday; it could be about him.
Mm-hmm. But then it would have to do with whatever going on in the past with Mary Lou, because again, she's disappeared. That's one thing about this. It's a huge gap between this and the movie.
Right.
What happened in that gap of time?
Yeah. So what
Does
did you think
Spencer
about
think he knows his mother, or was he given to that woman?
it is really interesting because a lot of times, people that well, I ain't gonna put anybody in the box, but it would be interesting to believe that she would have had a baby, and for penance of all this, she was like, I need to go and serve here
Yeah,
because I've done
because
damage here and here. Um, go ahead, what are you gonna say?
I said, but clearly that's what it comes across as for her. So that's the weird part. It's come across as penance for her. Like you could tell just by the way she goes about business and how she feels that she's wronged. And she said, I wronged an angel. I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah,
When she was attempting to help heal Faraday.
right, right. So, what did you think about her character in this one? I think this is a very strong, I guess, a character arc where it's kind of bringing her character full circle back around. But what do you think about her in this episode? There was a lot of different conversations. She had conversation with Justin. She had conversations with Faraday on his deathbed, and she also had this moment, this intimate moment with getting to Justin's dad, checking to make sure he was still alive, and holding his hand all the way down to the point that she died. I was just curious, what did you think about her in this episode, though?
And the bleeding out to make it look like angel wings.
Yep, that was pretty dope.
I mean, this is I guess it's giving us our due with this character. For again, for especially anybody who saw the movie, it's giving you the due with Mary Lou and just this character. The last time we would have really seen this character in the movies, I want to say her and Thomas had met up and had sex, which is something very interesting to think about for their last interaction with one another, when they both told each other that they didn't love each other anymore.
Mm.
So I think like that this is a good continuation of that character and possibly what we will learn from the secrets that she's holding in. Because clearly she decided to devote her life to being something bigger than herself after damn near destroying Thomas because she was dealing with her own demons, as she put. So Justice, when her and Justice was talking, and even down her saying Jen, just Jen, that's all it took to give him, and it broke him. Like,
Right,
because
that's
the
that's
thing
right.
is so minute, it's such a small thing that you wouldn't think that one thing would break him, but she knew it because, as she said, I needed to feel a certain way, and by doing this with him, it made him feel like he was taking care of me.
Mm, that's wild. Um, so I thought that was interesting about the conversation that she was having with Justin, where she kind of was like, look, I understand what you're going through, but you're very different from me. And I felt like Justin was kind of, I don't know if Justin felt like some of this was her fault or if she just needed to kind of understand the situation, but it was the conversations that they were having that it was like an unspoken thing. Like I feel like this man here, even though whether or not you love
Mm-hmm.
him or not, like this is a responsibility that we have to take on.
Yeah.
And our movements moving forward are very specific to the point that if we, take a step left or right, we could easily hurt him. As strong as this person is, as intellectual as this person is, we have a responsibility of making sure that they're okay for the survival of everybody. And I think that Justin took that to heart. And I like that she kind of had somebody to communicate with. Because it's weird, because Justin really don't have a mother figure at all. And I don't know if this lady is the best mother figure to have. Yeah. But at least it was somebody that she could kind of like have a real open conversation, because she's not been able to have that with anybody. She couldn't talk to her dad. She can't really talk to her best friend because the best friend's taking care of her daughter. So nobody she's been able to really go to about how she's feeling about this emotionally. And it just happened to be that this woman really truly understands without her using her words. So I really liked that interaction. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that you're right. The Spencer situation with Mary Lou, with Thomas, makes all the sense. It's just going to be a weird. Do you think they're going to do like a flashback to try to show?
They would have to, because again, I'm assuming that this is a sequel based strictly off of the movie, because that would be the way to do it. You wouldn't want to necessarily go to a sequel off of the book, because that will create more issues. So if you do a sequel off of the movie, or not a sequel, I'm sorry, backstory off of the movie, you got to go through the continuation of certain characters, and Mary Lou's character is extremely important, along with what is his name in the movie? I want to say it's Bryce, which is Thomas's partner, who in turn actually turned on Thomas and was the reason that Thomas ended up getting captured by the government. He marries Mary Lou at one point closer to the end of the movie. He marries Mary Lou, and this is where I have the confusion on Mary Lou's story, and this is why I say so much stuff could turn. Because if Mary Lou ended up possibly being impregnated by Thomas, at the same time, that's when her and Thomas said they didn't love each other anymore, and she moved on to Bryce. What happens if at that point in time, Mary Lou decided, after having a baby, I don't want anything to do with this. I want to move on. Because then what happened if Bryce meets this Russian immigrant and happens to raise what he perceives possibly as their son with her, but then he disappears or dies or gets killed, and she has this boy, but she's a terrorist, and then it leads Finch to pick up this boy. Like also, if you just go back to that picture that you just had of Thomas up there, because I think that was Thomas with Bryce right next to him.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how much they chose to make Spencer look like Newton?
It is. I mean, it is really uncanny. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, there's a lot of different. Yeah, it's really weird. That's really weird.
So again, I know we may be like off.
We could be completely wrong. We could be completely wrong.
I mean, that would be a very interesting thing, because again, knowing the pet track of the movie, if it is a situation where Mary Lou is actually Spencer's actual mother, and he's the mixture of the two that she can clearly see in Josiah. And then we find out all this stuff happened after she married Bryce. Bryce left her. He took the kid with her. He remarried. He used this woman to raise the kid. Find out this woman's a terrorist. That's why Spencer has no play about who his dad is. That would be crazy. So but it's a way to connect everything.
Do you think, because there's something weird about Spencer's relationship with Mary Sue, from even the moment that he interacted with her.
Mary Lou.
Is it Mary Lou or Mary Sue?
It's Mary Lou.
Okay. Well, Mary. I'm gonna call her Mary. From the moment he met Mary, try to get in with her, delivering the calf. They did a callback to that, and it's pretty dope. I don't know. These nuts are nuts. They out there using guns like they SWAT. But it's something about every time he's with her. Even down to when he had her at gunpoint, it was kind of like he hesitated, and I was like, he don't hesitate for nobody, like at all. Like he doesn't have any issue killing anybody.
It could
But it
be
was
because Spencer knows enough of his past that he possibly knows who she is, and
that's
that's
what
what's throwing it off.
that would make the most sense. It would make the most sense. Because we don't know how much Spitzer actually really truly knows.
Exactly.
He's
That's
hid
the
it
key
from
part.
us as the audience. The audience really doesn't know. We're looking at it like he's grasping for straws, but we've been feeling that way the whole entire time. But like slowly but surely, we're understanding he's only given what he allowing us to see.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, I'm all for that. Another piece of situation that happened was Hatch. Hatch and his sister literally had it out. She gets the understanding that, in fact, Hatch did lie and that
But
he did sell it out. But he did it because he was curious about what it was. He was concerned that this
he
could be a
knew
problem.
he knew their father was lying to them.
Yeah.
Or where these patents came from.
Yeah.
And he thought it was something wrong with it. So again, his reason for doing it makes perfectly good sense. But I believe it goes back to Edie's need to protect their father.
Right.
Like it's weird when he says, and I was right. Like meaning everything I thought, I was right about it.
Right.
Like, this is why I did it. I did it to not only protect you, protect us, but so we could find out what the heck was going on here. But Edie is just stuck in a situation where she just doesn't. I think she kind of understands what Hatch did because the bigger picture's been revealed to her. I just think she's mad that he didn't tell her what he thought.
Right. And I think that's where it goes to. But this is the weird thing. I think that she would still try to protect the memory or the silhouette of her dad and not had him do that. I think she would have been like, no, you can't do that. This, you should trust dad. Like, this is fine. I can cover it. You know, I think that he made the right call, but her anxiety and upset part is that he didn't tell her. But I don't think I don't think she would have let him do that.
I don't think it was something she was owed.
That's interesting.
That's the key part. I don't think he owed her a reason why she did that. Like, no. And we could tell clearly by just her reaction to everything.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, she was like, what did she say? She said, no matter what he's done to me, it's you that I hate, or something like that. Yeah. She never said that she hated her dad. She was like, I hate you.
Never. She has held out these feelings for her father. That is the problem. And that's the thing we got to address more than anything, is that she's held out these feelings for her father.
It's weird, bro. It's such a weird relationship.
It's a situation where she has come dispatched from all the trauma that her dad put her through, and she started blaming her brother for it. And now we get the realization, because remember early on in the season when her and Hatch had that conversation and she was blaming him for stuff, and he said that was dad. That had nothing to do with me. But she couldn't see it that way. So I think that's the problem. She can't see it a certain way. And because she can't see it a certain way, she's going to blame Hatch for it. And this is Hatch trying to correct that. Like, no, I can't have you blame me for things that dad did. Like, you need to blame him. He's the one who put us in this situation.
Yeah. And she just can't. So so Hatch, after that point, he kind of is like, all right, well, I'm out of here. But he gets contacted by this gentleman again, the person that was trying to help cover for them in the event of the CIA trying to get them. And his benefactor is like, look, I just need to buy your shares. And Hatch goes through, because Hatch is smart. Hatch is like, wait, we've lost everything. We lost the patent. We lost the device. We don't have any credibility. Like, why are you needing to buy my shares? He's like, look, I'll give you $5 million. Like, no, I'll give you $15 million. Like, and he's like, so you want to give me $15 million for absolutely nothing? No, that doesn't make any sense. He was like, let's raise that to 60 real quick. Cause he's like, I'll give you, he said, I'll give you 50 million to shut up. And he said, no, 60. But what do you think the game is here? What are they trying to get at?
Welcome to the person that I believe, Alicia. I think that's Spencer's assistant name.
Okay.
The people that she's actually working for.
Interesting.
Because that's what I believe. I believe she's working for them. Now, I also believe his benefactor, who you have not seen yet, could possibly be Thomas.
That would be hilarious because then he'd have control over everything anyway. He never lost control of anything.
He would have control of his own patents back.
That's
which,
hilarious.
Again, if you go by the movie, the government took them away from him when they kept him drugged up, captured, and all this other stuff. So, again, it's a good way to bring it back to where we're at here.
It is weird because we've never seen his face. They didn't give us a name either, who the benefactor was. We just knew what the name of the company was. I don't even remember the name of the company.
Exactly. Just pay attention to the way they've played everything.
That's
the best way to put it.
So it's like
even down when Faraday said that Thomas lied to me. Thomas never planned on going back home. Mm-hmm. At one point in time, Thomas did plan on going back home. That was his goal. When he built his spaceship to return home, the government captured him because of his partner.
Oh, wow.
And that's when everything changed. And this is why Thomas is blind, because Thomas had, unlike with Faraday, you see how Faraday's eyes are, and when it goes back to his alien eyes, back then Thomas had contacts to make his eyes look more human. Those blended in it, because everything the government happened, they ended up attaching themselves to his eyes permanently.
Oh, dang.
So that's why he can't really see or anything of that nature.
Interesting.
And then Thomas attempted to return home and created a message. We've already seen the message he created, I believe, because that's what Faraday had when he had the spear.
Yeah.
I believe that's what Faraday had, is when he had the spear, is the message that Thomas was trying to put out.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So do you think now the change is that he wants to bring his home planet to Earth? Do you think that's what he really wants, or do you think that he's diverting the he's trying to mess with Faraday? What I'm trying to say, I guess.
I mean, again, I think we talked about it last episode. At one point in time, that was actually the goal. It's to find a planet that was inhabitable for them. And Earth fits those requirements. So, I fully don't know, because they have too many things out there leading to how this is supposed to end. And then that's also blending the book with the movie, which would be very interesting if they decided to blend the book with the movie, because the movie kind of changed a little bit of what Thomas wanted to do, and the book doesn't.
So is this a mini series, or is this gonna be like another season?
I've seen nothing that said this is a mini series. I've seen everything that just said it's a series.
So there's no way that it's just gonna, because it's weird the way that it's closing up. I could believe it's just gonna end like a Watchmen situation, honestly.
Yeah, I don't believe this is a limited series.
Dang.
I think it was always set up just as a series.
And
again, it's 2 episodes left. So there's no telling. There's really no telling, because it's 2 episodes left here.
Well, I'm loving the show. This is another great episode. This episode ended with Justin and Faraday getting taken by Spencer.
Captured. Yep.
With Spencer presumably having the core. But at that point, that was when Spencer's assistant called the person and let them know that they're already there. They have them. So I'm thinking the next scene that we see is them getting intercepted. But yeah, it's just something about that assistant. The fact that the assistant found the signal and traced it back and was able to do it's like somebody warned.
Well, keep in mind
Thomas
the system is also the way Faraday communicates with Thomas is also a play on one of the things that was supposed to be crippling to Thomas, which is that Thomas fell in love with alcohol and television, and that he can watch multiple televisions at the same time and pick up on everything. Like it's a heck of a play on the things that crippled Thomas. That's why you see all those TVs in the background right there. Thomas was able to watch multiple television shows at one time and have no issue. So it's weird that they chose that same exact setup as a way for Faraday to communicate with Thomas. But then she will be able to communicate with Thomas that way. If Thomas is the benefactor, like I think he is.
Dang, this is a huge play. Especially didn't have a chance. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this review.
Thomas, he's Thomas's son at this point, so we never know.
Yeah, we're just gonna stick to that, you guys. We're gonna stick to this. Thomas's son. Thomas is the benefactor, just trying to get the rest of the remaining share from Hatch for Origin and get his patents back. The only question we don't know is what is the end game here, and if they are bringing his people to Earth, what happens then? That'll be an interesting season 2. Just the notion that they're coming would be a crazy season 2 to me, because I don't know what they would do. I don't know. I would have no preconceived notions of how they're gonna play that out.
Especially since the device created by Faraday is what they need to survive on their home planet, but at the exact same time, it's possibly what's needed to convert Earth to the perfect place for them to be.
Right. And that, to me, is the easiest thing to do, right? Because at this point, they're down to what, thousands left in the whole planet. So you leave, you get to a location, and you adapt. And they've already seen this. 2 people have been able to adapt. But it was something weird that Faraday said after he got shot. He said, "This feels weird." And she was like, "What do you mean? Like the last time it didn't hurt. This time it hurts." Like his body, he feels the pain. Whereas before,
he said when he arrived, it didn't feel the same way.
Right. So do you think, is that a subconscious thing, or is physically his physiology is like actually feeling pain, like because he's becoming more human?
No, I think it's because I don't think it's because it's changing. I think it's a different situation.
Interesting.
I mean, just think about it when she was digging in to get the bullet and how all the tentacles and things within his body.
Bruh, I was like, what the heck is going on in there? But he did say he has, what, like 4 stomachs or something like that? Which makes absolutely no sense.
Which would be easier for him if he was shot to become septic, as the doctor said.
Right. But does his body repair itself, is my question.
That's the other issue. No, because if it did, I think he would have had no issue. But remember, that's why Josiah had to hook himself up to Faraday in an attempt to repair Faraday.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. We'll be back next week. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button. We're covering a new show on FX called The Old Man. If you haven't started watching it, you should. We're also going through The Boys, and we got something coming up very soon. It's going to be on Amazon that we're going to be doing some coverage for at Comic-Con as well, which we'll talk about that later. I think you know what we're talking about. All right, guys. Peace. Filing out the top of the I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing.